I'm sorry to say that my ex-wife passed away in an accident. I want to take custody of my twin daughters, but I don't think it's possible. Sorry for bringing this up.
It's okay.
I thought I had misheard my wife's response when she answered in a cheerful voice. Are you sure? That means we'll take care of 2 more children.
It's okay. Bring them home with you.
I wondered why my wife agreed to such a sudden request. She gave me the answer to my question. My name is Mason. It's been 2 years since I married my wife Victoria. I'm divorced and my marriage to Victoria is my second. The reason for my divorce was my ex-wife's infidelity. My ex-wife Natalie was outgoing and flashy, with many friends who had a sociable personality that was the opposite of mine. I'm a plain person, but Natalie liked that I worked for a famous company and had a decent career, so she married me. Natalie's approach to me before we got married was very aggressive, and I ended up marrying her. Life with cheerful Natalie was fun in its own way. I'm also grateful that Natalie gave birth to our twin daughters. Stella and Luna are treasures to me. When Stella and Luna turned 2 years old, Natalie suddenly told me,
"Let's get divorced. I'm pregnant with someone else's baby."
I couldn't keep up with Natalie's casual words at first. I remember being angry and shouting at her, not knowing what she was talking about. The father of Natalie's unborn child was a frivolous man whom Natalie frequently met. He was one of Natalie's many friends and had even attended my wedding to Natalie as a guest. To attend a wedding and then steal someone's wife. I couldn't believe his thought process. I didn't even want to breathe the same air as Natalie anymore, so I took Stella and Luna and fled to my parents' house. We ended up getting divorced and I demanded compensation from Natalie, but I couldn't win custody of my children. I had heard that it was difficult for a father to win custody of young children, but I couldn't accept that I couldn't win custody despite my ex-wife's infidelity. However, I couldn't overturn the decision, so I was allowed to see Stella and Luna regularly by paying child support. I had no choice but to live, looking forward to the day I could see them again. I tried to create as many happy memories as possible when I met Stella and Luna, so that their memories with their father would be happy ones. We went to amusement parks and zoos. I did everything I could for my cute daughters. But we can't live together anymore. After returning the 2 of them to Natalie, I was riding the train home alone. Suddenly, I realized I was crying. My ex-wife was taken away from me, my daughters were taken away from me, and my heart was empty. I was so mentally weak that I didn't know why I was alive. It would be an unusual sight to see an adult man crying on a train. As people around me distanced themselves from me, Victoria, who was curious about me, approached me.
Are you okay? If you're not feeling well, let's get off at the next station together.
I thought Victoria was a strange person because she seemed genuinely worried about me, not out of sympathy or curiosity. I also felt a little rubbed the wrong way that she was being kind to a man like me. I replied bluntly, "I'm okay," but Victoria said,
"People who are okay, don't cry,"
and gave me a handkerchief. She got off the train with me at the next station, even though she suggested calling a station attendant. We sat on a bench on the platform, and I told her about my pathetic situation. Victoria listened to me seriously and sympathetically, and I felt that she was a truly unique person.
It's okay, Mason. This might be a dark time in your life, but brighter days will come.
I was truly relieved by Victoria's words. I got her contact information under the pretext of wanting to wash the handkerchief and started meeting her frequently after that. Victoria, who was kind to everyone and always helpful, turned out to be a strange person the more I got to know her. I even suspected that she had some ulterior motive. But Victoria was not clever enough to hide anything, and sometimes she made clumsy mistakes and asked me for help.
Mason, what should I do?
I fell in love with Victoria, who was always asking for help like that. I proposed to her, saying, "Victoria is the one who brightened up my life. Please marry me." I will never forget the moment when Victoria smiled happily at my embarrassing proposal. I was able to see Stella and Luna regularly as usual. Even after I had a son named Alexander with Victoria, I kept seeing them. Victoria knew that I was paying child support and that I had twin daughters. I couldn't tell her when I went to see them, thinking that she would feel bad. I felt guilty and lied that I was going out with a friend, but Victoria smiled and saw me off, saying,
"Take care."
One day, when I thought I had to tell her that I was seeing Stella and Luna regularly, I got a sudden message. Natalie passed away? The message was from Natalie's mother. My former mother-in-law, who sounded depressed, told me that Natalie had died in an accident. Natalie and her current husband, who was her affair partner, and their child, who was born between them, went on a trip by car and had a big accident, and Natalie, her husband, and their child died. My former mother-in-law said that my former father-in-law had gone to heaven early and that she was weak herself, so she couldn't raise Stella and Luna. The moment she said that if there was no one to take care of Stella and Luna, she would have to put them in a facility, I reflexively said, "I'll take them." My former mother-in-law thanked me, but right after I answered without thinking, I was overwhelmed by a sense of guilt that I had said something wrong. I was building a new family with Victoria and Alexander. There was no way this would be forgiven, I thought, and I decided to consult with Victoria. Actually, my ex-wife died in an accident. I want to take care of our twin daughters, but that's impossible, right? I'm sorry, this is such a thing.
Oh. That's terrible. It's okay.
I was shaken by Victoria's reply, as I was prepared to be divorced. I thought she would oppose or make a disgusted face, so I wondered if I had misheard. Are you sure? We'll be taking care of 2 more children.
It's okay. Bring them home. They must be anxious because their mom suddenly disappeared.
She said that and urged me to get ready, as I was dumbfounded. I asked her, "Why are you forgiving me?" Victoria smiled with a slightly stunned expression and said,
"You're such an idiot. Mason has always been fond of the twins. I knew that you were seeing them regularly.
Why?
Because you go out in a sneaky way and come back in a good mood every time. Mason wouldn't betray me, and there's no affair, right? How about it? I'm a great detective, aren't I?"
I immediately understood that Victoria was trying to cheer me up. At the same time, I learned how big-hearted Victoria was. "Thank you." I thanked her and headed to my ex-in-law's house to pick up Stella and Luna. Stella and Luna, who were suddenly alone at the age of 5, were sleeping together, supporting each other at my ex-in-law's house. When I found traces of tears on their cheeks, I was really heartbroken. I thanked my ex-mother-in-law and woke up Stella and Luna, explaining the situation as simply as possible so that even children could understand. Stella and Luna cried because they could no longer see Natalie, but they accepted living with me by saying,
"It's better to be with Dad."
In the car, I talked to Stella and Luna about Victoria and Alexander. When I told them that Victoria was a very kind and wonderful woman and that Alexander was still a cute little baby, Stella and Luna looked anxious. When we arrived home, Victoria was waiting for us with a feast. The table was filled with dishes that children would love, and Victoria introduced herself with a smile to Stella and Luna.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I'll be living with Stella and Luna from now on. You must be very sad right now, but it's okay. You have your father, and of course, you have me.
Victoria spoke to Stella and Luna in a gentle voice, but she didn't seem to mind that they didn't reply.
Are you hungry? Eat a lot.
She urged them to eat the food and enjoy it. Stella and Luna hesitated to eat, but the food must have been really delicious. They started eating a lot, so I was relieved. I bathed Stella and Luna, and Victoria had already bought children's bedding for them when it was time to sleep. Since I was using the car, Victoria carried the bedding back home.
It was tough.
Victoria laughed it off, but I was grateful. Stella and Luna refused to sleep with Victoria, so I ended up sleeping with them. Victoria encouraged me and slept on the living room sofa, saying,
It's impossible to do that so suddenly. For a while, Mason is the only one who can support Stella and Luna's hearts, so don't worry about me and do your best.
Stella and Luna cried while sleeping at night, and I spent a painful night. After that, living with Stella and Luna went more smoothly than I thought. Victoria didn't care even if Stella and Luna looked at her with suspicious eyes. If the two of them played pranks, she scolded them like a real mother, and when they cried, she gently comforted them. I realized for the first time after living together that Natalie didn't love Stella and Luna very much. Stella and Luna tried to do everything themselves. They opened the refrigerator and ate cheese without permission when they were hungry, and prepared and cleaned up their clothes themselves. At first, I felt that they were more independent than I thought, but when I heard their words and actions, something was wrong. Victoria also consulted me, and we concluded that Natalie had hardly taken care of Stella and Luna. The clothes that were sent as Stella and Luna's luggage were extremely few, and when Victoria cooked,
Victoria, will you give us food too?
They asked. At first, they were confused about taking a bath every day, and it seemed that they had only taken a bath once every 2 days. Moreover, the two 5-year-old children took a shower alone. In the first place, it was strange that Natalie went on a trip only with the child born between her husband, and had an accident. Why didn't Stella and Luna go on the trip? It was clear that they were treated roughly, and I couldn't control my anger. I can't forgive Natalie or her husband. They had a duty to make Stella and Luna happy once they took custody. Why didn't they take good care of them? I was trembling with anger, but Natalie and her husband were already deceased. Victoria said to me, who was clenching my fists with anger that had nowhere to go.
Mason, I understand that you're angry. I'm angry too at Natalie and her husband for not raising cute children like Stella and Luna properly. But there's no good in being consumed by anger towards people who are no longer in this world. The greatest revenge against Natalie and her husband is for Stella and Luna to be happy with Mason and me. So let's pour lots of love into them, as well as Alexander. Don't be held back by anger or hatred towards the deceased.
I cried at Victoria's calm and gentle words. I hated myself the most for not realizing that Stella and Luna were being treated that way, even though I saw them regularly. To me, who blamed myself?
It's okay, Mason. You're doing everything you can.
Victoria patted my back. I devoted myself to being a good father to Stella, Luna, and Alexander to fulfill my responsibility as their parents. Stella and Luna were initially wary of Victoria, but they gradually became fond of her as she talked to them cheerfully and kindly. Although they initially refused to sleep together, lately both Stella and Luna want to sleep next to Victoria. When the two of them were fighting and saying,
Victoria is mine.
Victoria hugged them both at the same time and said,
Don't fight, you two. I love you both, so it's okay.
Victoria's "it's okay" was like magic. Victoria, who was always positive and cheerful and said it's okay no matter what, was a salvation for me, as well as for Stella and Luna. Stella and Luna have become 5th graders as time passed. During the school visitation day, Victoria and I laughed nostalgically at the memories. I remember presenting my feelings to my parents and my treasures. It seems that Stella and Luna's school requires them to write an essay on the theme of family for the school visitation day. I was a little worried that Victoria might feel uncomfortable if Stella and Luna wrote only about Natalie and her husband in their essay. If Stella and Luna wrote only about Natalie and her husband in their essay, Victoria might feel sad. I expressed my concern to Victoria, but she laughed it off and said,
Even if Stella and Luna write only about Natalie and her husband in their essay, I won't mind at all. After all, for Stella and Luna, their life with the two of them was also happy. Isn't it a good thing?
When you have twins, it's difficult to decide which class to visit on the school visitation day. It's a sad story for me, but both Stella and Luna said,
I want Victoria to come.
They competed fairly with each other by playing rock paper scissors to decide who would take Victoria. Stella won, and Luna was quite depressed, which made me quite sad. Don't you want to be with Dad? Dad loves Luna very much.
I don't mind. I love Dad very much too. But I wanted Victoria to listen to me.
I was worried that Luna was already in her rebellious phase, but I found out the reason why Luna wanted Victoria to listen to her from the content of the essay read on the school visitation day. Luna wrote about Victoria in her essay. Luna also touched on her life with Natalie and her husband in her essay. Apparently, their life together was not very happy. Nevertheless, Luna wrote that she was very anxious when her mother died. When I came to pick them up, Luna was happy to be able to live with her father, but she was afraid to live with Victoria, whom she did not know. However, Luna immediately began to talk about what Victoria had done for her. They took a bath together and played with a bubble bath for the first time. When she was lonely and cried in the middle of the night, Victoria stroked her head until I fell asleep. She was really happy when Victoria told her that she loved both Stella and Luna when they had a fight. In her essay, Victoria was nothing but a mother.
I want to call Victoria Mom. But I'm too embarrassed and I haven't been able to do it yet. So today, when I get home, I'm going to call Victoria Mom.
I couldn't help but cry when Luna finished reading her essay like that. Some of the other parents were also teary-eyed, and even the teacher was wiping her tears. After the observation day, Victoria, who was with Stella, also had red eyes and a nose like me. When I asked her what happened, she told me that Stella also read a similar essay. Stella and Luna must have decided on it. They held hands and nodded at each other, then said in unison to Victoria,
Mom, we love you.
With a smile. Victoria hugged Stella and Luna as if she was breaking down in tears, and said with a trembling voice,
I love Stella and Luna too.
I cried, of course, being a crybaby. Our family is living happily. The thought that this would be revenge on Natalie and her husband had also disappeared before I knew it. I just wished to protect this beloved family. I owe it all to Victoria for being able to live such a happy life. When I told Victoria thank you, she smiled and said,
Thank you too.
How did you like this story? Please also subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.